Hello, my name is Scott Mabe. As a member of the UUFR and as a retired counselor and college instructor of psychology, I'll be presenting a brief talk called From Knowledge to Wisdom. About the differences between knowledge and wisdom, I will outline some examples of wisdom and explain why the exercise of this wisdom is so very important in our lives. I will then use the subject of love to explore how love knowledge can evolve into love wisdom. So, what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Knowledge is knowing. Knowledge is learning, understanding facts as they perceive or pertain to certain situations. Through our formal and informal educational experiences, we gain knowledge about things such as language, chemistry, repairing a boat, accounting, or making a pizza. Wisdom, however, is the ability to apply the knowledge that we have learned with an awareness and compassion to given situations. It is an ability gained through our experiences in life. And even though wisdom can be acquired through our experiences, experience itself alone does not automatically give us wisdom. Individuals develop wisdom as they mature and they become capable of reflection, compassion, and the pursuit of truth. Let me share an example of knowledge becoming wisdom. I want you to imagine that you want to learn to play a guitar. As I understand it, learning to play a guitar requires a basic knowledge of holding and tuning the guitar, learning the chords, strumming, and learning what chords go together as you practice basic chord progressions. What follows after this knowledge is practice, and more practice for months, years, or even a lifetime. Now let's imagine you want to learn to sing as you play your guitar. Learning to sing requires knowledge about breathing, posture, tone, pitch, song, interpretation, and so on. Finally, let's imagine that you're responsible for using these learned musical skills to create stimulating experiences that support our weekly UUFR services. This responsibility requires an extensive knowledge of music creations and awareness of service topics, creating or editing of music lyrics, and the selection of specific theme music that will highlight and mirror each program. This is the gift that Hank Stupai, along with his wife Nancy, has given us throughout the years, and I would suggest it is a marvelous example of knowledge that has become wisdom. So, what does research tell us about wisdom? Well, it tells us that high levels of wisdom are rare. It's not every day we come across people who know how to find meaning in life and understand the complexities of what it is to be human. Research about wisdom also tells us we do not need to be old to achieve wisdom. As a matter of fact, early adulthood seems to be the main time for wisdom to begin to emerge. Research about wisdom tells us that certain life experiences are critical for wisdom to develop to a high level. To gain wisdom, we must nurture some specific skill, accumulate experience over years, and the more experience you gain, the wiser you may become. Research about wisdom tells us that wise people learn to handle rejection and failure and grow from crises. It's often the case that the negative experiences are particularly good for developing wisdom. Research about wisdom tells us that personality factors are better predictors of wisdom than cognitive factors. Having a high IQ, intelligence quotient, does not guarantee that we will have good judgment and a deep understanding of the human condition. Those who are naturally slow to anger, quick to forgive, and able to empathize find wisdom easier to achieve. Therefore, developing a high EQ, which stands for emotional intelligence, may be more important than a high IQ. So let me share some simple examples of knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is realizing that a street is one way. Wisdom is looking both ways anyway before you begin crossing. Knowledge is knowing that a hiking path is 12 miles long. Wisdom is packing enough water for the hike. Even greater wisdom might be building a lemonade stand at mile 6. Knowledge is hearing your neighbor sing off key during a UUFR service. Wisdom is not making a comment about it. Knowledge is knowing that you're entering a highway construction site with reduced speed limits, so you slow down to avoid getting a ticket. Wisdom is knowing that you're entering a highway construction site with reduced speed limits, so you slow down out of concern that you could injure a highway worker. So you see in this example, your knowledge is the same, but the use of the knowledge becomes wisdom when you apply it with an awareness and compassion for others. The acquisition of knowledge in some area is the first step, as I mentioned, in gaining wisdom about that subject. It's been said that everyone is an expert in something. We all have unique experiences, we have different areas of interest, but some of us are experts in subjects such as mathematics or poetry, carpentry, or love. While I do not claim to be an expert about love, I have, during my years of counseling couples, gained a knowledge about adult love relationships. Therefore, I will use the subject of love to explore some differences between knowledge and wisdom. We all have a basic need of being loved. Our knowledge of love begins with our early childhood experiences. We learn about love through the warmth, the nurturance, the affection we receive from our mothers, our fathers, and others. During our infancy and childhood, warm and nurturing and affectionate behaviors from our parents provide us with the capacity to form intimate emotional bonds, which are called attachments, which shape how we form bonds with others throughout our lives. However, as we know, some children will suffer from neglect and abuse and will fail to receive their crucial loving experiences. Since these children do not learn the knowledge of what love looks like, sounds like, feels like, they're more likely to have difficulties with trust and intimacy in future relationships. Fortunately, this knowledge about love can still be learned in later relationships. Achieving wisdom about love, though, first requires that we gain knowledge, as mentioned, and gaining knowledge about love, or any subject, requires that we discover or release any myths that may exist. I've got 3 myths here I want to share with you. Myth 1, a common myth about love is that opposites attract. Facts are that, and studies show, that we're more likely to have a relationship with someone who is very much like ourselves. Myth 2, a lack of communication is the main problem in love relationships. Fact is that people cannot not communicate. The problem is how and what you're communicating, and as long as couples largely express themselves through silence, yelling, or withdrawal, no real progress will be made. And myth 3, the belief that partners who really love each other will know each other's needs and feelings. It's unrealistic, actually, to expect our partner to be able to read our minds. As adults, we're always responsible for communicating our own feelings and needs. So, if these are examples of myths about the adult love relationships, what are some examples of love wisdom? Examples include our success or failure in loving another person begins with loving ourselves. 2, apologies and forgiveness are essential medicines that can heal many love disorders. And 3, love is most effective when we give others what we ourselves need to feel loved. It's helpful to remind yourself that American psychiatrist Carl Menninger said, love cures people, both the ones who give it and the ones who receive it. So wisdom, whether about love or any other subject, is the ability to apply our knowledge with awareness and compassion to given situations. It comes from examining our intentions. Why are we doing what we're doing? And then adjusting our behavior accordingly. Psychologist and author Tara Brach speaks of the eyes of wisdom when she asks her readers to imagine walking in the woods and seeing a small dog sitting by a tree. As you approach the dog, it suddenly lunges at you, teeth bared. You're frightened and angry, but then you notice that one of its legs is caught in a trap. Immediately your mood shifts from fear to concern. You see that the dog's aggression is coming from a place of vulnerability and pain. You know, this applies to all of us. When we behave in hurtful ways, it is because we are caught in some kind of trap. The more we look through the eyes of wisdom at ourselves and one another, the more we develop a compassionate heart wisdom. In ending, I want to suggest that we take every opportunity to speak and act with our eyes of wisdom, especially during this time of such uncertainty in our lives. So be it.